Hey Suki, I want to tell you about my unsung hero. Unsung meaning I never really got a chance to say thank you. So here's the deal. I was on an airplane and I was really fine because I was really young and I was going to meet my boyfriend and he was hot. Okay, so I was flying from, I don't know, somewhere in the country, and I was flying to Los Angeles because that's where he was. And it's when the airplanes were huge. So when I got on this plane, there were like 6 seats going across in the middle, and they had 3 seats on each side, and it was huge, but it was also pretty empty. All right, so I got on the plane, I found my seat, and I realized that on the other side of the plane, there was sitting someone else who was alone, and he was a black man. And when I looked, he was a very old black man. So I thought, I'm gonna go over there and I'm gonna sit with him. Because if it was my granddaddy, I would want somebody to sit with him because he would need help. So I went over to the other side of the plane and I asked that man if I could sit next to him. Of course, he said yes. He was so happy. And I asked the stewardess if they minded if I moved, and they said no. So I got my stuff and I went over there and I sat with him. I introduced myself, because it's me. And I don't remember what he told me his name was, but he talked to me the whole time about what it was like to be black in America when he was there, which is like then. And he told me stories, things that had happened to him. And that made him my hero. And that's, you know, Kevin is here, and I really want him to be quiet a little bit. All right, so this man told me when he was younger, he was on a Greyhound bus. Okay, that's, the regular bus. Oh no, maybe it was not a Greyhound, it was a city bus. People get on there all the time. And he said it was during the time when black people had to sit at the back of the bus and white people sat at the front. So he was on the bus sitting in the back, and there was a woman back there, a black woman, and she had a baby. And the baby must have been new to her, like a brand new baby. And the baby was crying and crying and crying and would not stop crying. So he was worried because the bus driver was a white guy, and the bus driver was really, really angry and wanted her to get that baby to shut up. And he was yelling at her and yelling at her, and she couldn't get the baby to stop crying. So then the bus driver stopped the bus. He got up and he walked to where they were sitting, and he told her, either you shut that baby up or I will. And the baby kept crying. So the bus driver reached over and grabbed the baby, and he shook the baby, and the baby kept crying. And he shook the baby, and the baby kept crying. And he shook and shook and shook and shook the baby until the baby stopped making any noise. And he shook the baby a little more, and the baby didn't make any noise. And then he just threw the baby down to his mother. Okay, so at that point, my friend and everybody else on the bus figured that baby was dead. And I figured, based on the story, that baby was dead too. And I don't know, I guess he was. All right, so that man, my friend, is my unsung hero. Not because he stopped the bus driver or saved the baby or anything like that, but because he, in his very, very, very old age, told me that story. While nobody sat on that airplane, we were on an airplane, we weren't on a bus, but me. And he told me that story, which was a gift because it made me, helped me to understand what life was like for Black Americans when he was young, and it was not that long ago. Well, it is now because I'm old. All right, but that story is important. All right, I love you. Goodbye.